one of our chiefs about drug recognition experts in one of our final public hearings. I actually took some time after that to learn more about drug recognition experts because I'm not one. I'm not overly familiar with them. But I learned there's only about 60 in the entire state for 169 municipalities. They have a call-out network that seems to work somewhat, but there's only 60. And part of the reason for that is because there's some federal funding, at least for the moment, that reimburses training for DREs and DRE instructors, but there's no reimbursement for the backfilling of that overtime. So what does that mean? That means that a police department in the state of Connecticut, and all police departments, I would assume, all that I know of, have minimum staffing. That means there's a minimum number of people that have to be working on any given moment in time. So if that number is 10 and one of those individuals is sent out for training, somebody has to be paid overtime to fill that spot. And that money is not being reimbursed. And as I understand it, in speaking with some drug recognition expert trainers in the state of Connecticut, that's one of the barriers to getting more. I think today, while we are not, again, legalizing psilocybin, this, I would suggest, would be step one towards that. And I rely on the pattern that marijuana took in this legislature, where it was decriminalized, subsequently legalized. And as we sit here today, since 2021, there is no doubt that there has been an increase in fatal crashes on our roads. It's a statistical fact. There's a question as to why. Is it just because we legalized marijuana? Is it in part because we legalized marijuana? Obviously, there's some debate on that, but it is a fact that the fatal crash rate is higher. I will also say that as I drive around, and I drive probably as far as anybody back and forth to here, 63 miles, oftentimes I do smell marijuana coming from a vehicle on the road. Can't always tell you exactly which one. Certainly we'll discuss that at some point next week, I'm sure. But the point is, people are driving around smoking marijuana now because, I don't want to say they can, but they can smoke marijuana legally, right? So technically it's illegal to drive while doing it. But the point that I'm trying to drive at is, I do believe that there has been an increase in people driving under the influence of marijuana since we legalized it. If we're going, and I think that we sort of failed as a legislature, the state of Connecticut, by not having more DREs in place prior to doing the legalization that we did in 2021 for the public safety aspect of it. And so I would like to say today, if this is the route that we're going to get on again with another drug, and I will also say that the DREs that I spoke to told me definitively driving under psilocybin is a major, major public safety concern. And in fact, some proponents of psilocybin actually said that as well, that they totally do not think it's an appropriate drug to be on while you're driving. So to that end, Mr. Chairman, I would like to propose an amendment. It's only 5 lines. I do have copies to the clerk for just to being dispersed, but with your permission, it's 5 lines. I'm happy to read it.
Go ahead, Representative.
This would insert at the end of the bill a new Section 10 to read as follows. Section 10, effective July 1st, 2025, the sum of $1 million is appropriated to the Department of Emergency Services and Public Protection for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2026 to provide funding for the recruitment, training, and retention of drug recognition experts as defined in CGS 14227A in the state. So moved.
My biggest issue with this amendment is we really don't have the authority to make this appropriations. There's another committee that does. So I'm going to ask my members to oppose this amendment today.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to thank you for your comments, and I would just like to say to the members, and I agree, we have an appropriations committee, but we just put a bill on consent that's going to have an appropriation, right? So I just want to remind folks, we do that on the regular, and I think one of our colleagues down the way raised the concern that particular fiscal note may be very high. So while I appreciate that this would require a transfer to another committee, I think it's appropriate to let the Appropriations Committee and the people know that if we're going to go down this road, that's what we're committed to. But thank you for your comments.